Interesting article in USA Today yesterday. Jerry Rice, who many consider the greatest football player ever, he said that for him, the greatest is easy. Clear cut. Jim Brown. I tend to rank Jim Brown as number one on my list as well, Rob. Others you might consider Lawrence Taylor, Walter Payton. A lot of people now are saying Tom Brady. And I'm sorry. I do think Tom Brady's the GOAT, quarterback. But there is no way I will call him the greatest football player of all time. And I'll give you a long soliloquy of why, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Dodgers up 1-0. They got a bases loaded walk, so 1-0, 2 outs, still bases loaded. Yeah, I understand with you. I'm with you on that. It's hard to call him the greatest football player. And I know for you, a lot of it has to do with what else you have to do as far as like, the game of football, playing football. I get it. And I think that with the rules and the way things are set up for a quarterback, especially now, Chris, it's a little different. Oh, the Braves are going to get this call. He was off the base. So I'm with you on that. I think it's hard to look at a quarterback in that spot when you talk about a running back like a Jim Brown and what he was able to accomplish during that time. He's the one who got a championship, right, to Cleveland before LeBron was able to finally do that, 50-some-odd years?
LeBron wasn't even born yet.
Right, 50-some-odd years later.
You blaming LeBron because he didn't beat Jim Brown to a championship?
You know what I'm saying, but he was able to get Cleveland a championship again. I would rule against a quarterback being that guy.
I wouldn't necessarily always rule against a quarterback, but I'll rule against Tom Brady. And here's why. When I think of football player, I mean, obviously you got different positions. You got different sides of the ball. So everybody's doing something differently. Some are blocking, some are catching, some are running, some are throwing, some are tackling. But if I'm going to call you the best football player, I have to see the athleticism, the strength, the ability to make me believe you could do those other things at a reasonably high level. Like Jim Brown, I could see him being a linebacker. I could see him tackling people. I could see him catching the ball, blocking. He was an athlete. Walter Payton, Deion Sanders, Lawrence Taylor. Even Aaron Rodgers, I could see doing some other things, kind of. And if you had you think of when you play high school football, certainly tryouts, and you running sprints, you're blocking against the dummy and all that stuff. You're tackling. Like if you sat there and watched somebody go through all these drills, then whoever did most of them best, that's who you would say that's the best player. You wouldn't just say the guy that's throwing the ball, the guy that's throwing it through the tire and with accuracy. And if you put Tom Brady in those drills, you know he wouldn't look good. Even if he was throwing with great precision, you wouldn't say he's the best football player. That's why I could never say he's the best football player. No way.
For me, it's easy. You can't say Tom Brady's the best football player because even before he had kids, he had a dad bod. You know what I'm saying?
Kawhi really liked that one.
He told me to get ready.
What?
My God. He probably did.
You know how many times Chris...
Because I know Kawhi was not going to laugh at that.
Dude, another home run by the Braves. What?
You know what, Rob? Alex, you want to do the rest of the show with me?
I'm down.
Just go watch the game, Rob.
No, I'm sorry.
You don't get it, Chris. Tom Brady's not the GOAT.
I'm sorry. I'm just watching the end. I mean, what? This is the 9th inning, Chris. They just hit 2 home runs. All right, sorry about that.
All right. So, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I love Tom Brady, obviously. I like him a lot. He is the greatest quarterback of all time. But don't tell me he's the greatest football player. And I would give my vote to Jim Brown. I know, look, there's a lot of arguments you can make against him.
Yeah,
back
when
he
played, when he played and the other players. And,
right.
And
there was probably the unwritten rule, only so many black players.
Right.
The size, I mean, the guys weren't as big, although he was huge.
Look at the size of those linebackers and stuff. Chris, they couldn't play today.
No, he was he was like 230, I think. So he was bigger than a lot of the guys trying to tackle him, but still, in his era, he dominated like no other. You know, who else would you throw in that list? You talking about greatest football players of all time?
I think
I have trouble putting a receiver in there. I like Jerry Rice, obviously.
Yeah, but Jerry Rice did so many things as far as putting up numbers and the excellence and winning.
Yep.
He did
Work
a lot.
ethic, all that.
It's hard not to look at him and not think that he wasn't something special. And the other one is Lawrence Taylor for all of the bad stuff with Lawrence Taylor, dude, on the football field. I don't. And Chris, I covered that team. When they went to the Super Bowl in '87. I was like a backup Giants guy and was around I watched this guy up close. He was amazing.
No, he was. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. I mean, he was fantastic. So you're right. I mean, so those are the guys, that I'm thinking are in that list. Would you put Deion Sanders in there?
No. As good as he was.
He didn't tackle much.
Right. And also remember, and I'm not knocking him, but they didn't throw the ball to his side. I mean.
Well, but that was because of him.
No, but I understand that, but I'm just saying. So a lot of times he didn't have to do a lot because the ball wasn't coming your way. They just didn't want to do it. That's all. That was his reputation, and I get it, Chris, but I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, Lawrence Taylor is a great name. I mean, we haven't seen many, if anybody, dominate a game defensively like he did. I mean, phenomenal. Changed the game. Just completely changed the game. Maybe Bo Jackson could have been in there
if he would have stayed.
Had he stayed healthy.
Yes, because Bo Jackson's the only player to make a baseball all-star game and be a Pro Bowler. That's how good he was. Well, he
certainly, when you're talking about
athletes,
yeah, that's when he gets named. You heard who I named, Walter Payton.
Sweetness.
Walter Payton, man. And wasn't on good teams until the end. Was not on good he was gaining all those yards on pretty sorry Chicago Bears teams, where everybody knew Walter was getting the ball, Sweetness was getting the ball, and he still did damage.
And it's all over.
Year after year after year.
It's all over in Atlanta. The Cardinals hang on. They win it. What was that, 7-6 is the final?
7-6.
All right.
They take game one.
So this is looking like it's going to be, we hope it'll be a great series.
No, that was a great game one. I mean, absolutely, Chris. Absolutely.
Yep, no doubt. So, but yeah, I'd have to go with Jim Brown. Jim Brown, the only player ever to average more than 100 yards a game for his career. 104 yards a game, Rob, for his career.
It's amazing.
Think about that. Now, guess who's second? You should know this. That's your hint.
Who's second?
Second all-time running back, all-time
Barry Sanders
in yards per game. Barry Sanders, 99.8, essentially 100. And third, it's going to drop. But third right now is Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. 99.4, but that's probably going to drop.
But yeah, he's only got a couple years in, 3, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, that 100 yards a game, that ain't no joke.
That always reminds me of the other one, and it's funny that you mentioned that, is the same thing with the Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron played 24 years, Chris. 2,400 RBIs, averaged 100 RBIs. And you know the beginning when you first start out, you're not knocking in 100. And at the end of your career, you're not knocking in 100. So that tells you what damage he did in the bulk of his career to be able to average 24 years and 2,400 RBIs.
Right.
That's incredible.
That's why Vince Carter's going to average about 12 points by the time he's done for his career.
Exactly. And people will be like, I thought that guy was nothing special. He averaged 12 points.
They're going to forget how great he was. And he was great. He was great early in his career. All right, let's throw it out to you. 877-99 on Fox. 877-996-6369. You can weigh in on two things. Who do you think is the greatest football player ever? And can it be a quarterback? Can it be Tom Brady? You heard my logic. I'm sorry, no. Especially not Tom Brady. If Cam Newton had become some phenomenal quarterback and changed the game, yeah, you could look at him and say that's the best football player of all time. Maybe if Pat Mahomes, continues doing what he's doing, but not an unathletic guy like a Tom Brady, who, as Rob always points out, couldn't catch the football, right? It's your turn to talk about who's the greatest football player of all time, and can you make a case for Tom Brady?
You know what? Let's start with George in El Paso. You're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. George, what you got?
Hey, how you doing? Well, I think it's
What's
Marcus
happening?
Allen.
Marcus Allen. Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he could punt. Obviously, he could run. He could play quarterback. He played fullback because Al Davis didn't want to play him. Part of his prime, I mean, he probably played defense. He was a complete stud, and he kept playing even after all those hard years. He played with Kansas City past his prime, and he still was bad.
I know one thing.
He was great. He was a stud.
He had the all-time football player neck. He was just, am I right?
Marcus Allen?
Yeah, Marcus Allen. I'm just saying the way he was built. He was built like a football player.
He was great. I don't think many people would call him the greatest football player ever, but he was definitely a great player.
No
Hall
doubt.
of Famer, legitimate. Yep.
All right, Marty in Kentucky, you're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
How's it going, fellas?
What's happening?
Not too much. I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm going to be completely unbiased here. I'm going with Jerry Rice.
Wow.
1,549 receptions, 22,895 receiving yards, 14 yards per reception, 197 receiving touchdowns, 3-time Super Bowl champion, and did it under two different quarterbacks.
Yep.
And he did this in an era where these kind of numbers were insane. They weren't normal.
Right.
It's not like now,
They didn't
right?
have grippy gloves either.
Yep.
Right. That's big. These gloves now, I think I could make one-handed catches nowadays.
Yeah. No, I'm.
Look, Rice, my only argument against Rice is he's a wide receiver. That's not a great argument. I'm gonna be honest, but
No, because,
you know what I mean. Like,
because he can only do what he can do, right? He can only do.
Right.
He's a receiver, and
it's such a dependent position, and they all are to a degree. But you know what I mean. Like, I don't know, but he's the best receiver we've ever seen. That's for sure,
no doubt.
And a lot of people feel like Marty does.
Hey, John in Orlando, you're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, guys, enjoy your show as always. It came down to two people for me, it's LT and Jim Brown. And I look at Jim Brown, even though I wasn't around, I look at the films, I look at it, he looks like all-star in the 80s. Look, he could have played in any era. He was a big guy, he was a physical guy, and I know he was running over smaller guys, but at that size, I think he could have translated into any era. And I just look at 1,800 yards, 1,500 yards, and that's in 12-game seasons.
Yep.
He dominated the league. So I just think that made him what you would chisel a running back out to be.
No, there's no doubt you could put him in any era. There is no. You look at a lot of the great athletes of yesteryear, and you say, what would they have done in this era as they were? Rob and we always talk about, well, you got to give them the benefits of today. The weight training, the year-round play, the better coaching, the nutrition, the better travel, the better equipment, all that.
And
Jim Brown, you could take him as he was, right?
No, you could.
Forget all the extra things you got today. Take him as he was in 1960. And he would have been great today.
Give him a reward for being in Bathsheba with Raquel Welch. Remember
he had plenty of nice love interest. That's why he left the NFL to go to Hollywood.
More money.
Yeah, that back in the day, he was making more money. Yeah. Interesting. But, yeah, Jim Brown was an awesome guy. Rob, why don't you tell us what's going on in the baseball game?
No, it's still 1-0 Dodgers. And also 1-0 Dodgers, and the Seahawks just scored. It's 13-6. It was a Russell Wilson pass. I didn't see who the receiver was. Metcalf, so he made a nice throw. Metcalf is open, made it happen. It's 13-6, so they're rolling Seattle so far. Let's go to James in Virginia. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Thank you for taking my call, gentlemen. Happy Thursday, man. Hell to the Redskins.
Oh, my.
And, hey, man, I
don't even think you realize what you're saying. That just rolls out of your mouth.
I know.
Man, I got to ride or die, guys, man. I'm burgundy and gold.
Well, you dying.
Ever
You
since
dying,
I was a
all
kid,
right.
man. Hey, and one day, man, we hope. There's hope in Haskins. Let's just say that. Hope in Haskins. Hey, man, listen, I'm just going to say this real quick. Superman is the greatest superhero of all time because when Superman wakes up in the morning, he is Superman. He didn't need anything or take anything. He is Superman. But we'll leave that for another discussion, man.
But hold on.
up
Superman, there was some way to stop Superman. Kryptonite. How you stop Batman? You couldn't stop Batman. Am I right, Rob?
Right.
There's nothing. He had no kryptonite.
Other than if you just took out a gun and shot him, I guess, right? Like, I always laughed at the heroes. Like, they always had a gun on them, but they never shot at them. You know what I mean? They never did anything. I used to always be like, dude, really?
Well, that was the intimidation factor.
There it is.
You were scared of Batman.
And you knew
presence.
that he had Robin right there, too.
Right. You were shaking in your boots.
All right, Marvin in Richmond. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Marvin?
Yeah, man, when you're talking about the greatest of all time, Deion Primetime Sanders got to be put in the conversation. He was great in all aspects, offense, defense, and special teams. Quarterbacks wouldn't throw on his half of the field. Punters and kickers wouldn't want to kick to him. And when they put him on offense, who could cover him?
Right. He did play both ways a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm not saying he wasn't a great athlete or whatever. I don't know if I would put him as the greatest of all time.
He's certainly in the argument for greatest athlete of all time.
No doubt.
I say he's more in the argument for that than greatest football player.
Because, again, he played Major League Baseball, which is very difficult, had some success. He played, Chris, you remember?
Had some big, he had enough success where you thought, man, if he concentrated on this,
right, you remember,
he would have been an all-time great.
He batted in the playoffs for the Braves one year, and this is when he was playing for the Falcons, and he played a football game and a World Series game in the same day.
Unbelievable.
Yes. All right, one more.
I think he hit over 500 in the World Series the year he was in it.
It was unbelievable. I don't remember exactly, but he did really well. Brian in South Dakota, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Yes, sir. Going to chime in on the greatest football players of all time.
Yes.
Has to, and just a little preface, I've been a Rams fan since I was about 4 years old. But the greatest, and I have to break it into offensive and defensive, the greatest offensive player, hands down, Jim Brown. Greatest defensive player, to me, hands down, Dick Butkus. Grew up watching these guys wreak havoc on both sides of the ball. I've truly never seen anything better. I know LT gets a lot of press. I think that if Butkus would have played in a more friendlier press day, like LT did, I've just seen nobody wreak havoc like Butkus did.
Butkus
grew up on NFL film too.
Butkus would be suspended for 80% of his career nowadays
because he was gambling. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about the hits.
Oh yeah, no, that too, right?